Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Reality Check. This is Monday night, and this is a back-to-back Reality Check night. I'm your host, Crystal Jordan, and I'm excited about tonight's second guest because you guys know the beautiful thing about this time with Ready to Love is I get a chance to talk to both males and females. So we get a chance to hear the perspective of both sides. So we just finished talking to Carrie, and now we have the man himself. I called him DC's nightlife coordinator. I do believe that's true because it appears he was throwing parties for Halloween last night. So we're going to bring him on without further ado. Say hello to the very handsome Mr. Carrington. Hello, sir.
As Crystal alluded to, I did have a Halloween party and I kind of went all out. So as you can see, my hair is still blonde.
He's in character. I love it. He commits to it. How are you, Carrington?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm good. So you had a Halloween party. Tell us about the Halloween party. We need something, a little pick me up. How was the Halloween party? Were you in costume?
Yeah, so I was absolutely in costume. My favorite movie growing up was Meteor Man. And if you guys don't remember, the Golden Lords, played by Roy Feig, they all had blonde hair, and the Baby Lords. So I made sure to have my black suit on, as you can see, blonde hair, gold chains and things of that nature, and my gold slinky.
Nice. So, yes, I do remember that. I do remember that.
Culture thing. If you knew, you knew, and that's kind of what it was. But it was based in DC, as a lot of people didn't know. So I kind of did a two-over with that.
Nice. That's fine. I came to DC years ago and met Robert Townsend and Billy D. Williams, which was like the most amazing thing ever. But of course, Robert Townsend was responsible for Meteor Man and a whole bunch of other amazing movies and television. So that's one of my DC stories.
Okay.
One of my DC stories. But Carrington, welcome to the show. Like I said, I love this show because I love Ready to Love because you get a chance to hear both perspectives, male and female. And I think a lot of times we don't, especially on networks like OWN or Oxygen, you don't always get to hear the guy's perspective. So the fact that Will Packer has this even balance of both estrogen and testosterone, I think is good. I think it teaches people, the rest of us that are enjoying watching you guys. And it also probably teaches you guys. So tell us what inspired you to go on Ready to Love.
I think what inspired me to go on Ready to Love was my own personal journey that I was going through. I think the pandemic, this was like a different season for everybody. The pandemic kind of slowed a lot of things down, and for some people, fully down. For me, it slowed fully down. I couldn't do events. I couldn't do anything of that nature. So you got to just kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
In that process of figuring it out, it was like, where did I want to be at? Where was I at then? And, where do I see myself being in the future? And one of those items that came up, one of the topics that came up within myself was like, I haven't been in a relationship. Like, if in order for me to date, I have to start applying that and date with purpose, because eventually I wanted to get married. So I kind of took that first step and wanted to apply the growth that I have been working on. And this was just the first opportunity to do so.
Tell us a little bit more about that, like that reflective part of you, because obviously if you're in nightlife, and that came up a lot. And I mentioned that actually you're not the first promoter or nightlife aficionado, or if you will, to be on the show. I actually have a friend, Jimmy Jones from Atlanta, that is a promoter as well and was on the show. We know that by nature you have to be a very social person. So you obviously don't have a problem meeting women or talking to women, because that kind of comes along with the job description. So when you are obviously a good looking guy, you have no problem talking to women, you know how to meet people and get to know people. What challenges did you run into when trying to make those, I guess, get yourself more in the mindset of dating with purpose?
So it started with people coming out because you enjoyed the experience that I had going on. Let's say some young ladies might have been attracted to me. Regardless of what it was more so like I turned everyone into clients or customers. Like When you came
Okay.
out, I wanted you to have brunch. Like, bring your girls, have a good time. If you wanted to come out because you thought, hey, he's cute, I would have just showed you just such a great time during that process that you would have forgot all about that. So it was more so like he's that guy to hit up to know for what's popping, what's going on, from dinners to brunches to X, Y, and Z, right? Then it became like, all right, this is cool and all, but then I have no one kind of like to share it with, no one to really to go home to talk to about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was where the inner struggle with me happened. It's realizing what I wanted and where I wanted to be.
Okay. So what have you learned about women doing all that?
I've talked to all different kinds of women,
Mm-hmm.
so I run into all different types of personalities and temperaments. So when it comes to what the biggest thing was, what I really learned, it was that not in my scene, I was kind of in a bubble. So not everyone is that person outside of the scene, right? Outside of the nightlife. Like you might come in with your Sasha Fierce song, but
Okay.
hey, you're Beyonce Knowles. So I think that was the biggest separation of the two, where I started realizing that I have to approach women, I have to approach my mindset in a different way, because a lot of the lines were getting blurred from what I was doing.
Okay, that's really good. That's a good point. Women may act different when they're out in the club with their friends partying. Do you think that men are the same way?
I think so. I can't speak for all men, but I think everyone has that, man, I'm about to step out, I'm about to throw on my fit, look cute, but then every day, they're doing, whatever they do, right? I
Yeah.
think it goes twofold. I think you come out to stunt, you look good, especially on birthdays. Everybody wants to look good on their birthdays. But
Right.
you don't want to be out every day of the week either.
Yeah.
So I guess there's some popular memes going around and get you someone who knows how to dress it up but looks ugly or something like that. 9 times out of the day, I was like, it's okay. Like, I just realized there was a separation of the two.
Yeah, that's really true. Last question before we dive into Ready to Love. Why you said that you realized that you wanted, someone to share it with and eventually wanted to get married. Why would I guess what value? Because I hear a lot of men say they don't really see value in marriage. Why do you look forward to one day getting married?
I think it was just my upbringing overall. I kind of made my own decisions and went on my own path as I got older in life. But I think, my parents instilled in me, wanted to be married, raising a family, and traditions moving forward for your legacy at the end of the day. I think that still rings true, just from your upbringing overall. I feel like there are pros and cons. I didn't want to get married to get divorced either, so I kind of was very specific in choosing. I know a lot of people just get married to say I'm married, but don't understand what it takes to be married. So I make sure to pay attention to all of my OGs, and listen to their stories and kind of take heed and advice from them.
Okay, well, so you decide to be on this show. You decide to sign up for the show. Had you watched the previous seasons of Ready to Love?
I didn't watch them in its entirety. I think this was the first time that I heard about it when I was approached to do the show. So I made sure to do my homework and seeing kind of how it was shot and produced, kind of seeing what the storylines were. But still, even so, you still get caught by surprise by certain things.
Yeah. So what was it like when you went to the mixer for the first time?
The mixer was awesome. The mansion was set up. It was beautiful. It was outside. And then they started bringing in all of the lovely ladies, and I was taken back. I was like, "This is we're really doing it." In my mind, I was like, beautiful Black people getting together, professionals, and we're being vulnerable within ourselves. We're sharing stories that we wouldn't have otherwise have shared. I think I was talking to one of the young ladies, and I was like, sometimes you just have to turn off your eyes and turn on your ears to really understand, what's going on here. I'm not normally going for the type I would have. I was here for the process to really see whom I could possibly be with, or at least know who I didn't want to be with at the end of the day.
When you say you gotta go a little deeper into that. When you say turn off your eyes and turn on your ears, what was it? Had you noticed that there was something about the type you were going for that was not yielding the fruit that you wanted?
I think I'm just used to being around different types of women, or kind of have like your go-to, your preference of type of women. Not that they weren't there. I just believe that it was more of a, I can't always be going for tall, fit or thick or whatever the case may be, super fly. I had to like really, kind of turn down what I would look for physically, aesthetically, and to see what was more in depth, what was behind what you saw.
But don't you think eventually, I always wonder, I hear actually in one of the other guys that we talked to first said that, like, I got to start looking differently and dating differently. I always wonder when a man does that and you're very young still, say you find this woman who's not necessarily what your preference would be physically, but she has a sweetheart and all that good stuff. And then you guys are together for a couple of years and you get used to her. And then you are confronted consistently, as you would be, with what your physical type is. Do you think that's going to create an issue?
For me, I would say no, because I'm used to being around beautiful women daily. So I'm almost desensitized by that. I think it's more so if I make a commitment to myself, make a commitment to that individual, choosing to be in a relationship, I think that's where I would be at with it. I'm like, no, thank you. I appreciate you. You're lovely. I love your outfit. But she really holds me down, and I'm not trying to lose that. So I think whenever I make that decision, I'm just going to kind of stick with it. Now, if
you haven't, but you haven't had that happen yet.
I have not had that happen yet. No, I haven't. And that's where I'm on my journey now.
Yeah.
Where I guess some people, outside influences were like, oh, he hasn't dated, or he hasn't had a girlfriend. I was like, I really haven't. And I'm trying to get out of those ways to make sure that I am a proper, gentleman, and I'm presenting myself well to be in a relationship so that I can move with intent, move with purpose. Because before it was just like, you're cute, let's date, and, kind of the vibe it out type of situation. And I never really put emphasis on it because I was more focused on my work than I was trying to build a relationship and get to know somebody.
Yeah. So ultimately, that's kind of what the women on the show felt. At least that's what we heard. Why they didn't keep you around longer is that I think it scared people that you hadn't been in a relationship before, or at least recently, and hadn't really spoke about that. Yeah. And then also your profession, and just that all sounds like a little bit like, okay, well, this is kind of an experiment and nobody really wants to be the first in line for somebody.
Too many unknown variables.
Yeah.
You can look at a track record and you can be like, okay, there's a foundation laid there. I can kind of work with that here. And I was like, but I understand that may be your thought process, but it's okay for me going through my journey now. Like, I didn't start my journey 4 or 5 years ago. Remember, I am a little bit younger and I'm moving into that season within my life. So I'm just now making those changes or adding that, to my life, in general. So I totally understand where they're coming from with it. And I'm okay with their decision. I just think that the way the process was set up, I genuinely want to be a part of it. It just didn't work out in my favor with whom was there.
Right. So when you went to the mixer, you saw the women coming in, were there people that you initially were like, because it sounds like, I mean, we talked to Libba. She said that you were, had a very good conversation with her. In fact, she was very complimentary about, how you handled yourself with her and complimented her. And everybody seems to, even in the comments on the show, said that you were very personable and had good things to say about your conversation. But I think there was a question about your authenticity. Do you understand why they felt that way as well?
I do, in a sense. I guess if I had any defense for it, it was more so I'm much of an observer. I'm very much a people watcher, and kind of like I'm feeling things out. So that it's not that I'm not being myself. That's just kind of what I'm used to doing. That's what I'm accustomed to doing. So I'm thinking that I'm not doing that. But then you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, oh, I'm actually doing that. And so I'm making adjustments on the fly. Yeah. So even from the questions I was asking, I felt like they were there were pertinent questions that you would ask somebody to get to know, but I didn't know on what level and what in intensity, that I wanted to pursue that. So I wanted to have great engaging conversation to go back, think about it. Okay, so who did I connect with? Who did I genuinely connect with? I feel like I have more in common with this individual. But I think from the mixer to our next evening at Dirty Habit, I kind of was lost in the wash when it came to understanding how quickly we were moving with things.
It moves quick.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I don't have a lot of time. So that's when I wanted to start speeding up. And by that time, I think it was just too late for me.
Yeah. So we saw the conversation, I believe it was with Tasia, when she was really kind of grilling you about your past. And you did seem a little put off by her questions. Some of the guys that we were watching with seemed a little put off as well. But when you were asked about cheating in your past, were you responding to the question, or were you responding to the fact that you were being asked a series of questions? Like, why did you why did you respond that way when you were asked about cheating in your past?
Specifically, I think with Tasia, it was more about sneaky links, I believe. And then with Aisha, it was more about the cheating aspect. So I just wanted to clarify that part.
Okay.
From the line of questioning, it's almost like you didn't get a chance to finish a full statement, or if I did finish the full statement, you just didn't see that on television.
Okay.
So it just cut to either a facial expression from the ending of it, or or whatnot. But I think we were in depth just talking about it, being real and upfront. Yeah, there's sneaky links, there's relationship, this is what I've been in, this is what I've not been in. That didn't make it to air, unfortunately. So there was more substance there to it. I didn't have any reason to not tell her what it was, like I said, because I was there really to find that individual. I'd rather put everything out there than for you to find out later that this was the case.
Right.
So I've been that's been a big proponent in the type of relationship I try to have with you. And go ahead.
No, and then the cheat. So the cheating, was that uncomfortable to be asked about?
It was more of a, we had just sat down and it was like, bow. And I was like, dang, I didn't even get a drink yet. I didn't get my food yet. It wasn't uncomfortable asking. I think that I've been open about it. I've been in previous relationships, but recently I haven't been in relationships or things that I would have acknowledged for that. So I was being upfront about it, right? Yeah, being with someone, around someone, but not kind of giving that title or taking it to the next steps, because for whatever reason I told myself, right, that's what the certain situations can happen. But it was like I didn't want to hurt anyone, so I didn't want to be in relationships if I wasn't ready to commit and kind of give them that space, time, and energy. So it's not even a defense mechanism. It was just like, well, I can't cheat on someone if I haven't been in a relationship. It was simple. And then it's hot as I don't know what outside. I've always sweat. It's 90 something degrees outside. So I think that was it did not help, because as soon as I said it, it was cut to me patting my head. And I was doing that if you watch the entire series, I was doing that no matter where we were at. I just there's no fault behind it. I just, it's hot. I sweat. I've always have been, and that's what it is.
Yeah. So were there, because when you leave early, I would assume there are like, man, I really wish I had gotten a chance to know this person, or I wish I had a chance to take this person on a date. Who were your regret ready to love ladies? Is there anybody that you wish that you had gotten a chance to get to know a little bit better?
I wouldn't say I have any regrets, because after the shooting, I did get a chance to meet everyone thoroughly, and I enjoy everyone that been a part of the process. But if we were speaking about being a part of the show and being part of the process, I knew a couple of people prior to the show.
Okay.
We didn't get a chance to talk to them on camera, or if we spoke, it was like off camera for a short time. Courtney being one of those. Courtney's my friend, been my friend for years. I spoke with Shiloh for a extended period of time, but you guys didn't even get a chance to see that. I think we ended up, I think I just moved a champagne glass. I'm like, this is nice, this is sexy, at the end of the day. I would have liked to explore conversations a little bit more with Zadia. I want to speak to Mumin more. I think it was a lot going on. And let's say if I was ready to talk to someone, they were engaged in conversation there.
Yeah.
I spoke with Sabrina. Like I spoke to everyone, but to kind of like move forward in the process to kind of get that feeling, I didn't feel like I had enough time.
Yeah.
To handle that. Yeah.
To go back, I actually think you and Courtney would have been cute together.
That's my homie, man. You know, and I say that with the utmost respect. It's like when you're friends with someone first, you can kind of like take it to another level, but we didn't have the opportunity to explore that option on the show.
Is there anybody? I asked Carrie this. I meant to ask Libba this, but I didn't get a chance to. Is there anybody from previous seasons that I know you said you didn't watch it extensively, that you would have wanted to take out if you had an opportunity to?
I can't remember everyone's name.
Yeah.
All I know is I've seen some previous seasons. I was like, man, she's fine. I was like a couple in Atlanta, a couple in Houston. I was like, man, where they at? But it's a short answer. There were. I just can't remember who it was.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I want to ask you, since you don't have a lot of content on the show. I think that in the conversation I had with Carrie, we were talking about how men read women and women read men. And I'm just wondering, like, with the situations that you talked about, the girls that you went out with that may have wanted, I'm sure there were a lot of them that wanted to go to the next level, right? Mm-hmm. But you didn't want to do that, not because of them, more because of you. Can you talk a little bit about how, because I think women need to understand how a guy acts if he's not ready to move forward, and then probably need to know it's not their fault, right? Because I'm sure a lot of those women think it was their fault that you didn't want to take it to the next level.
I think in context of the show, I'm a big person on, can I see myself with someone? You can be a great individual, but I don't necessarily need to take it to a dating level. So perfect example was Libba. I didn't know where I wanted to take that. I was like, she's amazing. I talked to Libba the most out of the entire time. And I was just kind of just getting a feel for it. She had great conversation, but I wasn't sure on what level to take it as. And I feel like I addressed that. I think you saw that on the show. I just wasn't sure what that was, right? Yeah. But I also didn't get a chance to further talk to her to kind of build that connection. So it kind of was just like you talked, and it was put on the shelf. I've talked to other women on the show, and for some reason we were interrupted. Let's say we had you had to go to the restroom, or there was food coming, or we're switching locations. It was like we got the chance to start the conversation, but we didn't get a chance to finish it. So it wasn't really me and my decision of not wanting to move forward. I just don't think that there's too many incomplete conversations to build that type of connection.
Right, to know that. Yeah. But even outside of the show, I guess I'm asking, like, what was your way of kind of keeping things moving, keeping things fluid to where you didn't end up in a relationship? Because that has to be difficult to, well, maybe not if you know how to do it, but how does a man date different women but keep it from going to a place where it does transition into a relationship? Did you have like a rule, like, I don't see you I don't date them more than a certain amount of times? Or how did you keep everything moving to where you did not get connected to someone on a deeper level?
I think for me, it was setting proper expectations and letting you know where I'm at. If I'm able to at least, let's say I think you're beautiful, but I'm at least able to tell you, hey, I haven't really been in a relationship. I'm not necessarily not looking for something, but I also want to feel it out to see who I want to be with, whom I don't want to be with, right? So if I tell you that, hey, I work in nightlife, I'm around a certain clientele often, like, is that something that's going to bother you? They're like, no. And so we start the courting, the dating process. But then what I found is that things changed during that process. It started out, it's okay, I know what you do.
Yeah.
It became, you saw what I do. Now we're out and about and you don't necessarily like it, but you're only sticking around because this is what you agreed to stick around for. I'm not placing blame on any one person. I just think that the things change within that dynamic. And therefore it's kind of like, well, instead of me hating you, it just, hey, we can be cool and cordial, but like, let me take care of you whenever you come out. Let me, show you some love here. Let me show you some love there. It was just more of a mutual understanding or mutual, disagreement. We could have been upset about it, but like, I would have wanted to talk to you more. But then you might have been like, hey, I don't even want to be in a relationship. So now where are we at now?
Yeah. Do you think that women are, too quick to be to write off someone that may have that job? Do you think, because I know a lot of promoters, and
rep for whatever the reason is.
You said what?
So we kind of get a bad rep for whatever the reason is.
The reason that you get a bad rep is because a lot of them are doing the actual, the evidence is there, right? For a lot. I'm not saying that there are not always outliers, but I wonder if you think that it's unjust. Do you think that the reputation is not true?
I think I've fought the reputation for a very long time because I felt like I wanted my work to speak for itself. I'd be like, did you have a good time? How was your hosting? Did you have a great brunch, dinner? And I would get that, man, you treated us like a professional. You weren't trying to be sleazy. You weren't trying to this. I set the proper expectations with it. On the flip side of that, there is the, I'm done working now. I'm partying now. And sometimes you don't remember half the stuff that you do when you get intoxicated. So like, it's a very fine line of it. And but I always tried to put the best foot forward when it came to producing a great event. Whether it was an after party, whether it was a brunch, whether it was club, whether it was bottle service, I tried to, go above and beyond for whomever I was assisting.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is, of course, Reality Check. This is our Ready to Love back to back. This is the second conversation. We talked with Carrie earlier, had a great conversation with her, and now we're talking with Carrington, who people are still asking about the hair. The hair is changed because that is a leftover. It's leftover from Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween, Meteor Man. It was, if you guys remember, 1993, Robert Townsend came out with a movie that was like one of the first Black superhero movies for kids. I'm 33. I was a child then, and that's the movie that I looked up to. I always thought that they were super dope. I was like, man, they're fly with the gold jackets, this. And I was like, oh man, I always want to dye my hair. This was a reason to kind of like flow with it. And the main character was Simon Kane. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit to it and see what happens. It was a good look. People liked it. But then I woke up and I still have blonde hair. So that's what's going on right now. Nothing more, nothing less.
People are asking about children. Do you have children?
I have two girls. Yes.
Okay. How old are they?
My daughters are 8 and soon to be 6.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cute. So does that present, do you think in terms of a woman that you would want to date? Because I was interested with you being one of the youngest cast members there. What are your limits age-wise with dating, and how does being a father of 2 girls kind of play into how you look at serious relationships, like introducing them to your daughters? What type of woman would you want your daughters to be around? Do you think about all those things?
I do, but I'm very protective of them in that sense, and I will let that be known up front. I think there was only 1 or 2 individuals that I have courted over the past couple of years that met them, but they met them when they were much younger.
Yeah,
it's something that you're just overprotective over, and I think if we're building in a relationship towards that way, then there will be that time to meet and greet and enjoy. But what I realized is that, especially when it comes to women, my daughters will attach themselves to an individual, and that's the last thing I want to do, is to introduce her and then I'm no longer talking to her. After that. So that's one aspect of it. Then there's another aspect of I've never really had an issue with being a parent. I thought that was going to be an issue. I thought it was going to be oh, you have girls and oh, we don't want you, we'll throw you away. But as I got older, that became some more of I think the zaddy thing became, more of a thing. Whatever it is, beard games started popping around. I was like, oh,
you doing it. You got the beard and the kids.
I was like, man, we are winning right now. Like, so it never really affected me during my dating journey at the end of the day. But I do think about the type of woman that I want to be with and that my daughters can look up to in that light.
Yeah. Is there age? What is your age range? Are you open to dating younger, older?
Yeah.
Where are you at with that?
So for me, I always said I'm 10 up, 10 down. It just depends on your maturity level, emotional maturity level, and kind of like what you're going for yourself. Some people are like, I don't want to train someone, or I don't want to help them grow in a certain way. I don't mind it if I can do it. And then someone's like, I want someone that's more established. It doesn't really matter to me. It's more about the energies that we're exchanging between each other and how we're treating each other, kind of going from there. Fortunately and unfortunately, older women are attracted to me, and so are younger women attracted. I'm kind of like in a safe.
You're in a good space, Carrington.
Personally, I'm in a good space right now.
You're a good age. You got a good beard. You obviously you dress. You know how to dress, and you're very well spoken. I will say that you are very. It does seem like you could have been a lawyer, and you would have been just fine. Like you know how to give the right answer.
So you feeding into the interview questions now too.
You're just well spoken. You're very well spoken. And I you know what? When I used to hear that, that used to irritate the crap out of me. And I said to someone else, when someone said to me, "You're very well spoken," I'm like, what am I supposed to talk like? But I live in
California, and it's a different environment. You either sound like you were from the streets, or you. But
no. It's not that. It's not that, because I talk to people from everywhere. You're comfortable talking to women. You're not uncomfortable. And I think there's a certain level of like when you talk to, I guess I have a lot of friends that are promoters. When you talk to people that work with people, they are very comfortable in their skin, and they know how to kind of read the crowd. So I think that's kind of what I'm picking up on.
That's my gift and curse. So the reading the crowd, being a people person, it can come off as interviewee, or it can come off as, oh, he doesn't have a connection because I'm not giving you the time and attention you need. Yet I'm actually thinking about moving in a certain way. So I think that also is part of what happened on the show.
I believe that, because honestly, I didn't think the questions that you were asking were, but I also interview people, and I've also heard guys tell me, I feel like I'm in an interview, and I just like asking questions. I'm a curious person. That's why I like doing this. But so furthermore to my curiosity, with you being a girl dad,
absolutely.
What did you think? A lot of guys say when they have daughters, that affects how they interact with women, or maybe it teaches them differently about women, because your daughters are at an age where you're starting to see their personalities a lot, all of that stuff. So have you learned anything about women, and did this change the way you interact with women being a girl dad?
I think initially it changed the way I interacted with women overall. And then I just kind of saw the true nature just of people in general. So I didn't really just classify it as, oh, she's a woman. I was like, it really depends on what energies that you're giving out. How are you treating people? How are you interacting with people? Because I'll try to be nice to someone, like, hey, how you doing? And then I'm getting cussed out at the end of the day. So I kind of had to learn, like, okay, I need to protect my energies. I need to protect, what I have going on. This is my basis when I speak to women, but depending on that conversation or how it goes, it's kind of how we'll move in it. And whether you're a guy or a girl, like, if you're being rude, you're being rude. And if I call you on it respectfully, I just call you on it respectfully. So I think it's a give and take when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But overall, I just know that the type of people that I am around, that are my friends, they're flowing into me. They're putting great ideas into me, helping out wherever they can, and I'm doing the same thing. So I kind of keep a good crowd of individuals around me overall. I'll just know the different types of people, not male or female, just types of people that I just wouldn't prefer to be around, or I can only work with them in this type of environment.
Yeah. Do you see yourself doing promotions and entertainment and nightlife long term, or do you see yourself transitioning to something else?
So this was the biggest misconception on the show. I think they just went with me being, I said, an event curator, former promoter, all those different hats that we wear, because it wasn't one thing that I did. I actually worked in IT for a very long time, 10 years or so, being a client satisfaction manager for Fortune 50 companies. So that was the part that was missed. So I typically will consult, or I'll sign on for a contract in between. And if I don't want to do a contract for that time period, I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do set up a certain amount of events for the year, or concerts or after parties, and kind of like, I've always been social, so that was kind of the duality of it all. I went to work 9 to 5, and after 9 to 5, it was 5 to 7. This is typically before, 5 to 4 a.m. This was typically before I had my kids. So I'd literally get off work and I'm like, all right, so where's the happy hour? And in DC, we have, there's something to do, and it's popping every day of the week, from your mixers to your nightlife to your lounges to your concerts, live music. There's always something to do in the city.
Yeah.
I hadn't been around beautiful Black people on a consistent basis growing up, so it was like, when I first got here.
Now, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in San Diego.
Okay.
I was born in DC. I'm a Washingtonian family from DC. My dad was military, so we went to California, but then I always wanted to come back. I knew I always didn't really quite feel like I belonged in that area. It was like, something's not quite right. And I think the biggest indicator of that is when I came back from my cousin's prom, and I'm like, hey, so all these houses are like Black people live in them? And they're like, yeah. Like, what do you mean? Like, they didn't understand the concept. I was like, so you're telling me that they have BMWs, Mercedes, Maseratis, and it's Black people? And they're like, yeah. It's like, I'm not leaving here. Like, I'm this out. And that was the kind of the first indicator of like, okay, Black wealth, how do I figure it out? I love Black people moving in such ways. And that's also one of the reasons why I agreed to be on the show. I was just, I'm not big on the drama, but I'm more so into building connections with individuals. So
do you think that, why do you think ultimately, because some people say that the show looks to who they can get the most, drama out of, or who they can get a story from. Why do you think you were eliminated early? Do you think it was because the women felt that way, or what do you think was the ultimate reason that ended with you leaving early?
I don't think that I was going to be a character for either likes or views, or for anything other reason of me actually being here for the process. And if I was eliminated, I don't think it was like that was the reason why I'd be upset or anything like that. It was more so like, I did what I needed to do for me. I was open. I was vulnerable. I got set parameters that were given to me, and I abided by those parameters. If I wasn't the
What do you mean set parameters?
So I'm here for the show. You got to be open. You got to be vulnerable, and you're trying to find your person at the end of the day. I feel like for myself, I did that. Now, if it wasn't received or reciprocated, I'm okay with that. But at least I put my best foot forward to make sure that I did that. And I think there wasn't really a story for me within, the timeline for that to happen. It was either like, okay, he's nightlife, or he's too young. And that was just kind of it. And I was like, that's fine. But you missed out on actually getting to know me as a person, and the funner side of me. If you think that me being in nightlife and things of that nature, that I don't have a good time, I don't boogie.
Well, I think you did. I think
I was like, you
guys. What is your sign? What is your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Okay, someone asked, were you a Gemini? Because it's like you seem to have a lot of duality in your personality. So between IT and nightlife, that's very polar opposites.
Right.
And you're very calm and sophisticated conversation. But I know, again, being a curator of events, you have to have a turn up side and energy that people feed off of to keep them excited. So you must have a lot of different pieces to that puzzle. Correct. That
and that's why
it would have probably been good to see.
When they were talking about peeling back onions, I don't feel like I give that to everyone outwardly, because that's a different part of me that you kind of have to, like, it's certain levels. Like, okay, we're here, we moved to there. Okay, now you get to experience this part of me. Not saying that I wasn't hiding it, but that can come off as disingenuine.
Yeah.
Because I'm not just, hey, this is my personality. I'm like, no, it's like there will be a time, space, and opportunity for it. I'm gonna tell you this: if they played some music on set, you would have had a whole different Carrington. I'm not.
They had the orange hair Carrington.
Yeah, orange hair.
Carrington, what qualities in a woman do you see as a future? Like when you see yourself old and married, what qualities does that woman does she embody?
So this is my old physical, the physical part of it joke.
Okay.
It was like, I wanted to be that old man that was pointing over there, like, you see her, the one with the round thing back there. Yeah, that's me. I always wanted to be that old man. But jokes aside, it was more so about her being comfortable in her own skin. I'm a big person of you loving yourself, me loving you, and you're able to reciprocate that love.
What do you need from her, Carrington? Like, do you need? I'm saying, like, what do you want her to be? Do you need a good cook? Do you need
the domesticated part, like the skill sets and things of that nature?
Yeah.
I would hope that if I can cook, clean, organize, do whatever, that you should be able to do those things. Those are kind of like a given. Like, if you don't, it's not that I wouldn't do it. I'm just like, hey, if I'm not around, like, I need you to eat, survive, or hey, we're gonna go get food every day. I can't have you order.
But that's not like food is not your motivator.
No, not at all.
No,
because I can cook, so I'm not
okay.
too concerned about it. It would be a preference of mine, absolutely. If you can throw down in the kitchen, that is amazing. But I'm kind of more, it's like, what are your passions? Like, are you passionate about anything?
Okay.
I get family, like I get church, I get a lot of that stuff. Well, for me, growing up, those were given. So I'm like, outside of those things that we as a culture kind of like build towards, what are you interested in? Like, what are your passions at the end of the day? I think you being able to teach me something that I did not know, or that arena, and then have that conversation. Me being a person that is well versed in a couple of different arenas, and it helps me understand people more. I want to be a chameleon in the game. I want to be able to go to the trap, to the White House at the end of the day, right?
So you want a woman that is able to do that with you.
Cultured, like wanting to explore. Let's say there's certain things that you're not willing to do, right? That's fine. I'll do it, because I'm kind of a nomad. I can kind of do it myself.
Okay.
I would want to be able to do certain things with you. You're like, we're going hiking. Awesome. Like, let's go hiking in the Maldives. Like, whatever it is, like, I'm down with it. It's just someone that's a little bit more spontaneous, I think, is a spontaneous planner.
Spontaneous planner. Does she need to be a freak, Carrington?
I think that physical attraction, what's the old saying?
Freak in the sheets and a lady in the street.
I think that is 100% correct. And I my mama's watching this, so like, I want to be.
I'm trying to get a point, guys. I'm trying to get Carrington to give us something. I'm like, what is the point? So she's spontaneous, a planner. She's cultured.
There is that side.
What is the kryptonite?
that other part, just know that is very much appreciated and welcome. Yes.
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 So we're just gonna say a well-rounded woman.
Yes.
In all senses of the word.
Yes. Well-rounded woman in all senses of the word.
All right. I can work with that. Okay. Last question, Carrington. You've been a good sport. What did you learn about yourself? I mean, even though you weren't there long, it's still a process. It's television. You're probably getting a lot of interaction and attention from other people just because of being on the show. So what have you learned through this process about Carrington?
I learned what I wanted, or how I wanted to move. I feel like there was that moment of, I'm trying, to do something new and trying to add to it. But now I know, like now actually getting that experience under my belt of talking to different types of women, kind of like whom, or kind of like the mold of whom I would want to speak to. I think that helped. Even though I feel like I haven't touched on a lot of different other type of, personality types, but it's kind of helped me own in on the path a little bit further.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. And then just being true to myself. I think that was the biggest thing. I can't try to be this representative as that person because you want me to. I was like, let me just be myself and see if that's good enough. If it's not good enough, let me work on some things, at the end of the day.
Or it just wasn't for television, but
for television.
You're on a journey. You're very young, and I do think that a lot of 2 or 3 years in adulthood matures you a lot, and so a lot of the people on the show are older and have been through probably more relationship drama, definitely, than you have. So it made sense to me because, it seemed like you got time to work on that. He is 33, Sunny Rain. People have asked your age. He is 33. He has 2 daughters, and he is an Aquarius. So at this point, we have created a dating profile for you here on Reality Check. Yes,
that is the biggest question I've asked. Like for what's your birthday? Like what? Can I ask you that? What is that? What is that appeal?
Yes,
I was like, I never really understood it or got it. Like
there are, I believe, I'm a Christian. I say that all the time, but I do believe that there is just some very consistent. There's a lot of consistency in signs.
Okay.
And I'm a Libra, and what I do know about Aquarius, and I'm glad you asked me that, because when you told me that, I was thinking, I do know that Aquarius are easily bored, and they move on. Like they're excited about something, and then they bore with it and they move on. And that can be that can be a little difficult in relationships if you're no longer entertaining them, or if they just decide the wind can blow one day and it's like,
sometimes it is like that.
I bet it is, Carrington.
You're like, yada yada yada, this happened, like, okay.
He's over it.
It's more like we don't kind of get into a lot of the drama and things like that, so we'll process it, but like we care, but like
you don't absorb it.
You're
not absorbing it. You're kind of just like, yep. So that's it. That's why people ask, because I do think that certain signs, and I think everything is a divine order.
Okay.
And this is Crystal's beliefs. I think there's a divine order to everything that was created. And so there are, there's bound to be similarities between us in different ways. But what I've seen, because I see so many people that are born under the same sign that have a lot of similarities. So my husband and I are both Libras. We're born a day apart. Oh, wow. We are very much we have very much the same personality. That doesn't work with some people can't be with someone that has their same characteristics. But I've made some in my 40 plus years of living, I've noticed that there are a lot of similarities. So with Aquariuses, I would say fun, have a good time, but just don't assume that this is going to last till tomorrow, because it may not, and that's okay until they get to that point, I guess. But
I think you have to build it.
Yeah, or no, they have to be ready, and that person has to be that has to be something special for them that turns that key.
Correct.
But I just think that that's why when you said Aquarius, I was like smiling to myself, because I was like, that makes sense because they have a lot of interest, very intelligent, very introspective, they think a lot, but not really impressed by a lot.
I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like you're reading me.
Did I just read you?
Yeah, I'm just like, golly, But I do hear no. I think it takes again a special person for that. The intellectual stimulation is probably one of the biggest things for me. I can't
Yeah.
speak for all Aquarians, but keeping me engaged because I may go off to myself. I like to be by myself. I can thrive, but like I would want you around. I would want
Yeah.
you to be there. So there is the give and take with that, and I'm very in tune with how you're feeling, or if or energy is off, a vibe is off. I'm like, hey, so what's going on? But
Yeah.
also very literal from time to time. So it depends on your personality trait or your character that I'm not trying to be very literal. That's just how I express myself.
I
So
get that.
if
Yeah.
it's misunderstood, we as Aquarians, we don't like to be misunderstood. So we'll try to explain it. And usually that doesn't work in our favor.
Yeah.
Right? the overtime.
Yeah. There's some. So Kiki says she is an Aquarius, and she had her first long-term relationship at 31. Situationships were ideal, and I go wherever the wind blows. It kind of makes. See?
It's personality. The thing is, you get vilified for that, but
Yeah.
it's not like you're set out an intent to do it. It's not like you were bamboozled into it. It's kind of like that. It's not quite free spirit. It's just kind of like, this is how I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm okay if you don't want to be a part of it.
That kind of is the definition of free spirit, though.
Somewhat, because I think about maybe I need to look at the definition of free spirit. So let me not put my foot in my mouth. I guess for me and my definition of what that is, it's kind of like I move to the beat of my own drum, but I'm also very aware of my surroundings, what's going on, and what's happening. Yeah. So I'll know that I can't move in a certain way if it's going to affect a certain group of people either. I know people who really move freely, where it's like, hey, like, I don't care what's going on. You don't fit what's going on in my life, and I don't think I move that way. So that's why I guess my definition will vary.
I got you. I think that's an aware. That's a conscientious, or just a like if you're moving too much and not being aware of people, then there's there's disconnect emotionally. But I think a lot of times free spirits, they're very nice, very loving. They march to be their own drum. And there's nothing wrong with that. The world when we're all made up of all kinds, and that's what makes it beautiful. And that's what makes it special. But I think when you say, it's interesting because even in the comments, when a man says, I just haven't had that, women are like looking for a reason. And I think
sometimes there isn't.
There's not a reason. It's just that's not where he's at right now. So I think you should just keep doing what you're doing, being yourself, not rushing it, which I know you're not going to because it's not in your personality, and just enjoy the ride.
I love being around people. I just know that it gets to a certain point where it's like, it's either break it off because I don't think it's going to go there because I'll know it in my mind.
Yeah.
No matter how good the physical side of things may be or the intellectual side of things may be. Because again, I'm not in the business of hurting people, breaking people, especially with intention.
Yeah.
And what I did find about dating specifically in DC, I've been all over the US anyway, and I haven't dated, overseas or anything like that, but dating in different markets, it's totally different. It's different personalities. Dating Black women in San Diego versus LA is different than dating in Houston, Atlanta, New York, even Miami, Florida area. So
the culture is different, and it yields different personalities and different expectations. So earlier Carrie said in Texas she probably would have been married, that it's just a different culture. I'm in Atlanta, very different culture. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Most of my friends, some of them are not, but most of my friends are married. It's very much get married early, stay married, which to me is a great thing. But in Atlanta, I moved here, nobody was married, nobody had kids, and everybody was doing their career and getting the bag. And I go back home to Tulsa and they're like family and this and that. So it's just different. I think you have to figure out where you fit, or just do you where you're at, which is what I decided to do. So I've enjoyed talking to you, Carrington. I look forward to seeing the rest of your story. Is there anything that you have going on right now that you want to share, or tell people how to follow you on social so they can support what you have going on?
So currently, I'm running Carrington and Friends Presents. I've done an installment of 4 different events, from a Black party to a Labor Day party, 50 Shades of Melanin, and most recently my Halloween party. That's just something I wanted to do something different from the club. I wanted to do something that was more of a lounge feel, but like wasn't quite grown and sexy, wasn't quite club. It was just sexy at the end of the day. Just kind of, you wanted to come out, you wanted to look good with your friends and your family, whatever the case may be, and spend a little money. That was the kind of pocket that I wanted to get into. With that, I still do the consulting on the side, and when not on the side, that's what I do the consulting part of it when it comes to information technology. But I am on social media. I typically use Instagram at Just Carrington. I am on Twitter. I just don't use it really. I've had it for years. Facebook, I typically keep for family and friends, but I'll create a public profile for that. But yeah, if you want to check in with me at any time, I respond to everybody as much as I can. I try to keep it, copacetic, try to keep it 100 with everybody. At the same time, I guess from where I'm from, you make sure you keep it 10 toes down. But yeah, that's pretty much it right now. But you will be seeing a couple of things going forward. You never know if I may end up on your screen soon. So just stay tuned and check in with me. Tap in.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you in the reunion. We always enjoy watching this series all the way through and then seeing the people come back and seeing how everything goes. So we'll definitely be watching, and hopefully we'll have you come back on another time and catch up with you then.
I would love to be on, especially if you have me. I guess my last question to you be, should I go ahead and just keep this blonde for the reunion or go ahead and chop it off? What you think?
People are saying they like it. People are saying they like it, Okay. So I didn't think it was for Halloween, but you definitely look different than you did on the show, but you can pull it off. So maybe play around with it for a little while.
Hey, look, I'm just asking y'all here with me. I appreciate it. At the end of the day, I don't think
so. Hold on, 2 L's asked, was it peroxide or did you go into the salon and have it done? I'm assuming Carrington went to the salon.
Absolutely, professionally. So my mother's a cosmetologist, so I called her first. I was like, Mama, I'm trying to dye my hair blonde. So if you didn't know, my mother's been blonde her entire life. So this is also an ode to her. If you didn't know, my mom got blonde hair, long red nails, favorite colors, red and animal print.
I like mom. See, she wasn't even tripping on that question, Carrington. Yeah. You acting like that was a big deal. Mom is okay with that. She knows what it is.
Look, my mom said she was proud of me. That's all that mattered to me. She's like, I love you handle Aisha, sitting down talking to her when she was talking about her thing. So when it comes to just the show overall, I got the approval that I needed from the one and only, at the end of the day. But again, the hair was an ode to my mom. I was on FaceTime with her the whole time. She's like, boy, you better not dye your beard. I was like, no, I'm gonna keep.
Yeah, that would have been too much. That would have been too much. But now that I know your mom, you should keep it for a while as an ode to mom, since that's her flavor. Do that.
If you see me with a red blazer on, with brown hair, I want you to understand with an animal print pocket square. Just know who that was for. Okay.
Mama Carrington has come through. Well, tell her hello from us. And again, I appreciate it. Keep the blonde for a while. It works with you.
All right, y'all heard it here first. Mrs. Crystal Jordan told me to keep the blonde for a while. Okay, don't be dragging me on Twitter and stuff on your names. Okay, I'm gonna at her.
Don't at me. I'm telling you, it works. It works for a little while, and like I said, because of mom, that's cool. That's a mom. Just have fun. Just have fun. Because when you get a wife, you ain't gonna be able to do all that.
No, probably not. Yeah. Unless she's a hairstylist, then I'll just let her do whatever. That's fine.
No. Well, thanks again for hanging out with us. Enjoy the rest of your week, Carrington, and we'll definitely talk to you again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. Thank you, everybody involved with the show. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the rest of the season. Make sure y'all check the rest of them out.
Oh, we will.
Friends are still vying for love. Didn't know I didn't find love in the show, but I found love in the people as my castmates and my friends. So, shout out to them, man.
Nice. All right. Appreciate you, Carrington. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching. It was a jam-packed Monday, back to back. As I said, it's cuffing season, and Owen is working on it. We enjoyed talking to the beautiful Carrie and the very interesting, charismatic Carrington. I enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully, you guys did too. I saw the comments have been popping the entire time, so you guys had a good time. We will be back. We will be back actually Thursday. If you're watching this on YouTube, on Thursday, we have a very special show that is going to be on Married at First Sight. We have a therapist coming in, and she and I are going to go through the entire list of couples on Married at First Sight. So you don't want to miss that. Make sure you're tuned in right here on Thursday at 8 p.m. Other than that, I love you guys. Have a blessed, productive week, and I'll see you right back here next time for Reality Check. All right? Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you guys here Thursday.